All right, shalom, 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 my brother. Oh yeah.
Shalom, More.
All right, we made it. It's a couple of minutes after that, but we are here. In that, let me set that there.
It's still time for power up.
Oh yes, it is. Yes, it is. We got a little time. We slid right on in here where we can have those things and make sure that everything is going okay. All right, we're looking for those that maybe are coming into the room in
Oh
that,
yes.
and we can really get going here.
All
But
four corners.
yeah, 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 absolutely. Thinking about that, and I hope that we are connected. Let me check over here. I don't. Um, I guess we up and running there. Looks like we may be there. I don't know
Yes, sir.
what we have there. Okay. All right. All right. Well, I guess it's spring break too. I guess maybe that's that's it. So it's all right though. Look, listen. We want to first of all, Valencia. She denied my surgery, so she went to those that she thinks is a professional, and so we want to know that she is in recovery right now. And far as I understand, that everything went well, and so we thanking and praising the Father for that. And
Hallelujah.
yes, yes. So that's a good thing. And matter of fact, that's they always put family in there. So my assumption is that's everyone in that. So we just praying, thanking the Father that the things were successful, and looking forward to a recovery in that.
Yes.
So it's always good and then I was thinking about too, even the title in itself. Uh, we've been talking about in a level, I don't know, about the last several months or so. Maybe not that long. We're just using a figure, but it's been on my heart about healthy relationships, right? So I think for a lot of times this is where I'm coming from and trying to build on that, and trying to get us in power up to get those to understand those things. So that would be real good. And but this one here, when I was thinking about the title, I know that I would have to use some areas of explaining what I'm really trying to say. So we're going to make sure that um, maybe we can walk through it. I don't know. Kind of take my time maybe, and if we would continue, I don't know, but uh, if it can be a satisfaction in my heart that everything would be all right, then we can go from there. So those of you that's maybe new to Power Up, one thing this is set for is an encouragement, and a lot of times, even at the assembly, I try to. Um, teach in such a way, but sometimes it runs together. I can't always get to where I need to go, but sometimes it just runs together. And I may have said these things, and it looks like it could be a form of repeating, but sometimes I need to hear it more than just once.
Oh man,
In
you
that,
can
and
put me
then
there too.
yes, sir, and then we can build from that. Uh, do I have to agree with you to love you? Now, here's the thing. Um, uh, the love, if I would express this, because I think it needs to be expressed. Now, when you're dealing with that LOVE, then that can be on a whole lot of levels, and that's okay. It can be on different degrees, and that's okay. And I think we plug love in there for a lot of things. Is that right? And so we have to realize that sometimes, according to this context, is what I am interjecting in that, and so are you. The same thing. I think that I can truly say, my brother, that you could say I use you. Uh, I think I can say get this. If not, I turn it around. But I think you can say, do you love me?
Of course, yes, sir.
Okay, of course you do. All right. Do you love Max, your dog?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Now this is where I'm talking about. There are two different loves right there. You don't love me the same way you love the dog. Is that right?
oh yes, sir. Much
Yeah,
more.
yeah. Right, right. So you love your wife?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so you don't love me like you love your wife. But we
Oh, that's
use the
different.
yes, but we use the word love to interject some things. So I'm using it as a strength. Other words, it gets stronger, right? According to who you're talking about. It gets stronger that way.
Okay.
And you can use it in, people, you don't have to use it this way. I'm just saying in our conversation on tonight, I'm trying to set a precedent of what the love that I'm talking about. And we're dealing with relationships, and we're dealing with, in demonstration of that love, especially when you're talking about agreement. Now, it can go across all levels. It can go across husbands and wife. It can go across jobs. It can go across all of that. But I think those of us that are listening, I think we would understand and realize the love that we are talking about. So a lot of times we'll say that we'll use that to one another. They say, I love you. And then you say, I love you. I love you. But that love, the definition of how you're using it. Now, what happens to us is the misperception of the when we say I love you. Some people take that differently, in their own mind. And so that's when we always have to get clarification in that. So when somebody say, because if you don't watch it, then different feelings can get in just because you tell somebody you love them, right? And or some
Mm.
weirdness could go on, and you could say, "Oh, he said he loved Max." Now, what I'm thinking about, what strength of the love that I'm thinking about, if I say he loved Max, in that. Now, some people, strength of their love is they would take their dog and let the dog lick them in their mouth. You understand? My strength of love is not like that. I wouldn't let them lick me in my mouth, right? So the different strength in that is how we do different things, or how we treat different things that we say we love, is my point. That's my whole point. Whether that's wrong or right, letting them lick on you, that's not my point. But my point is, I'm trying to give us an analogy of what would be this love, this demonstration of agreeing or agreement, and then the continue to love. So according to what the strength of our love is with one another, you understand. Now I thought about something. I said, if I drop this, and I'm I'm being more Tony now. If I drop this, hold on to your seats on this, because it's going to be very important to understand what I'm really saying, right? But you need to also, it's power up moments here. That's when we have a title, Power Up, to take you from one level to give you something to think about, right? So when I say that you don't have to, when you get married, you don't have to love to get married. In other words, you don't have to say I love you, the reason why I married you. Sometimes that's a big mistake, right? According to what your definition of love is. When you go into a marriage, you need an agreement. That's what you need. You got two people making an agreement, right? And through this agreement, you're going to learn how to love and to strengthen one another. But some people say
Mhm.
I married her because I loved her. But that may not last unless you continue to have that agreement and strengthen that. That's the reason that, as Hebrews, we get all of that on the table before we go into the place of the chamber of marriage, or the chamber under the hoopah of those things, right? So we get those things straight. Make sure that you have an understanding in that causes you to build on your love, because you got two people coming together, and so sometimes if that's the only thing is, get what I'm understand what I'm saying. If you only saying I married you just because I love you, and if that's the only thing, that it could be hiccups. There could be a problem, because you can what we call fall out of that love, right? You can fall out of that love because there's going to be challenges. There's going to be challenges from day one all the way to the end, right? To the what we say, to death separate us. There's going to be challenges. This love that we're talking about, you can say, I used to love him, but I don't love him no more. That's because you went into the relationship on love, right? You have to go into relationships in agreements, is what I'm using tonight, right? I want you to think about that. You don't have to agree. Do you have to agree? You don't have to agree on those things. I'm just giving you something to look at, something that it needs to be meditated on, right? So when you go anywhere, when you go to work, there is agreement being made. They say, I'm gonna pay you X amount of dollars in order to do this. It's agreement being made. They say we'll give you benefits or no benefit. It's agreement then you've been made, right? Sometimes you go in there and say, I really want to do this. Oh, I love doing this. And you find out once you get in there and start doing it, I don't love it no more, right? Because you went in it with love. This love we talk about. Love. We went in it, something you could use words like, you something that I desire to do. So sometimes even when you're in a place, you can change what you desire to do from time to time. In your young adult age, you could want to be management, but in you get older, you figure out I want to be a owner of something, right? So those things change, and life in that changes. And so I think I took a side trip here, but I think it's necessary. And I wanted to say that when it comes to marriages, is yes, you love one another, but if that's the only thing that you got, it's going to be a very, very difficult. You're going to be love one minute and don't love the next. And so you have to come to a agreement on that in order for it to remain in that. So I can grow to love you. It's just like trust. Sometimes our trust factor, when we trust in someone, could get lighter, and then it could be more strength, get heavier. Let's use heavy and light. It could be lighter, and then it could get heavier, as according to what you're doing. But it takes a relationship, in that. And so sometimes we connect that, and so that's the reason I said, do I have to agree with you to love you? You understand? I kind of slid that in there together, in that. So because now think about it, because there was something you like, when you was getting when you was gonna, we'll take it from our point of view, since the men sitting here on the panel, when we looked at that young lady, we looked at it, and there was something that drawed us to her, right? It wasn't just, some people say love at first sight. Okay, but what love is that? You have to see what love that was. So something made you connect. in that. And so in a proper manner, that's what you come forth before you do that. Most times it was a time when parents would come together and see, because you connect yourself to that family. You're connecting yourself to that family. So there's agreements that needs to be made. All right. And so sometimes we find ourselves in a different culture and a different way of doing that. But it should never throw out the agreement that you have with the two, say the two people or the party there, the husband and the wife, okay, the male and the female in that. So it's very, very important. And we're talking about healthy relationship. So a healthy marriage, if the only thing you have in a healthy marriage is love, it's gonna be strain. It's gonna be a strain, right? So you have to come to agreements, and that's a form in that relationship, right? And so anytime you encounter anything, you have to come into agreement and have those things there in order to go forward. So that's part of it, is when the two parties come together and demonstrating the love to each other, even though you may not agree with each other. You do, now this is important, you do have to come to an agreement, right? And I'm not talking about this sidetrack, is we going to agree to disagree. Now personally, that just on me personally, I don't like that one, right? I don't like that one, because I'm trying to figure out what that's all about. You understand? So I don't like that. So to agree to disagree, you have to come to agreement. It doesn't matter. And then maybe later on here we'll deal with different opinions in that. But we want to demonstrate, let me move this up a little bit, demonstrate the love that we have for one another. So it is difficult. Marriage is difficult, right? I know they paint a different picture, but marriage is difficult. Now, when I say difficult, I don't mean, you got to push through every day. You wake up, you're not happy anymore, or nothing like that. But what I'm saying is, it's something that you have to work at. And so it don't come with ease. It doesn't come with ease. But what marriage do, and I don't care, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, it doesn't come with ease, right? It's still something you have to work on. You still have to continue to work on honoring one another. You still have to take on respecting one another. You still have different things that happens, right, that you have to deal with. The children, they when they growing up, they are different age, and so it is a difficult task. It's a task sometimes that when the woman has the children in the house, where's the break at? That's 24/7, right? That's 20. We normally, if they teaching them, if you're homeschooling, how much do you pay a teacher, right? If they washing dishes, how much do we pay dishwashers? If they cooking, how much do we pay chefs? If they serving the children food, how much do we pay the waitress or the waitress? How waiter should I say? How do we do it? And if they clean in the house, how much we pay our clean technicians? And we know them as janitors maybe. How do we do that? Right? These are the things that they do. And same thing as daycare. They are 24/7 daycare. How much did they get paid? Right now, their pay is probably at least over $1 million already. You see, over $1 million already. But it's still going. What do they get from that? Zero. They get zero. Right? But we pay big money for people to do that. When they go out and when they cut the grass, when they clean the house, in that. So the thing is sometimes when we get married, I don't know why I'm here, but I'm going to stay on this road as long as I think I need to, right? One thing about the marriage is when you're talking about, when you just say just love, the love that I'm expressing to you or trying to express to you. Listen, you don't need that woman just to clean. You can get you a maid, right? Or you could get you a whatever, get somebody to clean the house, right? You can get that, if that's just what you want. That's where you have to come to agreement. You're gonna have to want that, to want y'all to become one. You have to have the same attitude and go in the same place. And this is what you're talking about, two coming in agreement. It has to start at the house, and then it starts with one another. That's the whole point of this, you know. So why are you getting the wife? Why are you getting the husband in that? What is the real reason? There are some women that you know say we'll say careers or whatever, right? And then they'll say they don't need a man. I don't need a man, right? Because they say they don't need a man because they figure like they got a career, because you have the wrong concept about what the marriage is. Maybe, right? You had that mom, you know, because if you thought you just needed a man just to you know to take care of you, and which we do, to provide for you, then if you grow up with that, then that's the reason you say you don't need a man, right? That's the reason you say that, right? And so it has to be more to it than that. You want somebody that what is it that you desire you want, and some desire not to maybe to not be married at all, right? But it's good to find that person that you can. Two is better than one, my brother. That's what I always say, right?
Hallelujah.
Two is better than one. So it's always good to find that, but I think we're finding them for the wrong reason, right? You
Hmm.
finding them because maybe something you need. You know, I wanted somebody that I could share my life with, right? I wanted to share my life. I wanted to come home and know that somebody could be there, right? I wanted somebody to, you know, to even help, even when we was growing up, especially even today. My wife, she worked as well, so I wanted that person that could help me to get to the points that we need to go, and I could help her to get to her points. It was a two-way street on that. I helped her, and she helped me, and so I looked at that, and we begin to grow together in that, right? We begin to grow together in that. So we just didn't come together and say, "Oh, I love you, you love me," and da 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 da. You know, because we really, when we got married, we really didn't know each other. You don't know. You have to grow to that, and when you think you do, that changes. But if you always come to agreement and put it on the table in that, then you know what direction and what goal you're going in. You know what direction you're going in. So in that, and if you desire that, then that's what it be. So in the things of the covenant, that's what we desire. We desire a family, right? We desire a family. So if I want to have the offspring that we need, if we want to be fruitful and we want to multiply, then I need this woman. I need to marry her, right? I don't invade her until I marry her. And then we make an agreement in that, said that I want, X amount of children, or we're going to have children. So that's the whole purpose. When you come together like that, you're going to have those. And then you're going to work together in that, because there's no way that I can have children, but I need that woman to be there in order to nourish and to cherish them, to bring them up in such a way. So we have to know that. And so sometimes when we go in, there is a picture of marriage outside of the covenant that gets real blurry. And so it is so confusion now. It's so much confusion, hopefully, that we can sit back. And if you are married, it can enhance. Maybe what I'm saying can enhance you a little bit. And if you're going to get married, then you can understand that what you need to do, or what is it that you desire? What is it that you desire in that? And then to let one another know in that. And if you want the relationship to be healthy. Now, one of the things I talked about when I came out talking about Valencia and how she went in, right? And now she's in recovery, right? She was a whole person going in, and then they begin to cut on her. So now she has to recover from that. So if you're in a marriage, you may be in a marriage that you've been cut on, but you can always recover from this marriage. It's possibility to recover from it. So you can heal. We want you always to healthy. And so we want to
Hallelujah.
establish glory, establish a healthy marriage, And so it is certainly two people can be successful. Listen, successful in a relationship, even though I didn't talk well. I got to catch up here. Talk. It could be. Oh yeah, two successful relationship, and but even though you have two different opinions, now when we deal with opinions here, I think see what time we got. When we deal with opinions here, it is very very important. So in this marriage, and when I say marriage, I'm just talking about in relationship, even with others, with one another too. Respect, you have to have that. You have to have understanding, and those are keys. The honor, and I said that earlier, even though you have differences, but you're going to have to learn. This is very important. You're going to have to learn to work together, right? You're going to have to learn to work together. So even though you come up in in your assemblies or wherever you may be to fellowship, you're going to have to learn to work together. And if you can do that, then you can be complete in your relationship. And we're talking about staying healthy. We'll use that word, staying healthy, right? So we have to prioritize what's important to us. And what's the number one important to us with one another and in our marriages is communication. So establish your communication, establish your boundaries, establish um, what you prefer, right? And then get that mutual understanding in that. So when you're discussing something, you're not going to see it. Both of you are not going to see it the same way, but you can get an understanding in that, and that's what's going to be important, that you get an understanding, and so you come to an agreement. Now, what the thing is when we break the agreement. Now that's a whole nother thing, right? But our heart and our purpose, and then we want to use that word love, love. What's that about? It's about being honorable in my agreement to you, whatever it might be. And so it is with brothers and sisters. We have to be honorable, and we have to have an agreement in that. So in the agreement, that agreement stands. If anything changes in our agreement with one another, we got to come together to get an addition to that, right? Or annulment. We got to figure out what's going on, because I can only live through the first set of agreements that we have until they change. That's what I'm living on. So when the Most High made a covenant with us, then He gave us, and then we said all that you said that we would do. We made an agreement. So it's always there. And so it is with one another. Now, this is a difficulty because we getting away from the things that I'm talking about right now. And if we keep going the way that we are going, I'll be talking, you're gonna think he's lost his mind. What is he talking about? Right? Because things are going to whole different situations. They going in those situations, and so that's the thing that we need to understand. Things are being defined, redefined, right? So we need to hold on, not to like to hold on. It's not an old way; it is the way. Whether it's old or new or renewed or whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing, right? So every month we get a renewed month. Is that right, my brother?
Yes,
We
sir.
get a renewed month, and in that, so there are definitely benefits in the relationship in that, and you will have disagreements. That's part of relationship, though. It's not a bad thing that you have a disagreement. It's not bad. It's not evil that you having a disagreement. It's how you handle the disagreement is what's
Oh, yes.
important, right? And so sometimes, even my own self, I'm not always successful in it, but it's something that we need to know and understand what we can go to, right? So be respectful, right? And then what we building is we building trust between each other, right? And it helps us to identify our growth, our potential growth as we grow, right? It'll help us identify where we really at. And so I'm using marriages in, I want us to put in our marriages, and then those of us in our communities are when we dealing with one another, meaning the same thing on that. Well, brothers, it's almost been about 30 minutes. I'm going to let you express a couple of things on what maybe already was said, and that might trigger a more of a understanding or a revamp of what I need to do. Praise Yah. Hallelujah. Thanks for being patient, my brother.
All is well. I'm ready to keep listening. there's a lot to what you said, and in the growth, I hope to aspire to keep growing in those things that you were saying as well. And I praise Yah because he just gives us so many witnesses, you know. So I love what you said about the love as a strength. I like that because it helps, because that word is a little ambiguous, and I don't like it that it can be used like you just said. I could say I love my favorite food, and then here's this intimate relationship I have with a person. I use the same word, and I like what you said about the being in a strength, and that the love is an agreement. It made me think about the wise decisions that need to be made in this relationship. And I've been in the past. It has been it's been a how can I say, a contrast, like you said, about with the feelings. I don't know what it is, why the emotions are, how can I say, it, it's like they mean more sometimes, than
Right.
than logic. And like I like when you put that. I'm not saying you put it in a contrast, but the agreement should be what defines the relationship, not my feelings, because my feelings are going to change. It's not that they might change; they will change. Like you said, based on the growth and the development, we're going to increase, and we should increase in the better, not increase in my feelings. And I've been thinking about what you were saying about the idea of we're better together. What is it that is bringing us together in this relationship? And I like what you said about the help. That really is good, because you're always saying that about we need to be helpers towards one another, and that the communication is what helps define that. And I really see that as king. And I'd say um, even this, I think this year it's been better. My communication with my, like, if I'm thinking about marriage, it's getting better. And I never would have thought, when from the very beginning, um, where it was, I wouldn't be able to put it on a scale, because I didn't measure it that way. I came into it with the feelings, like you were saying, and now I have to realize that my whole relationship, it needs to be based on more of like the Father's design for marriage, because I think that gets lost. Like you said, it gets lost. It's like, this is his concept, this is his or doing. He built the man and the woman and brought them together. So if I try to have the relationship in that order, and I'm not doing it in the way he made the blueprint, the success may not be there. And that um my agreement is what defines my emotion, defines the marriage. I see what you're saying, and I get it. But when you started going in there about the assignments, that part really caught me off guard, in the sense that my relationship isn't just about what my spouse does for me.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
good. Hmm.
like, that was really good to hear. And it's not like there are a series of tasks and roles that we do for each other, but that's not all that defines us. There has to be something greater to our relationship than just all these things, like you said, cutting the grass, washing the dishes. Like, those things help our relationship, and those are based on our agreement. But there's something greater that's caused us to become one flesh. And
Hmm.
I see in that's what the core of the relationship is. And I agree with you that agreement is better, um, than that whole how do you say, agree to disagree. I
Hmm.
see that's just not wise. It's just not
Yeah, it's
wise. Like,
good.
how are we able ever to come to unity if one of us isn't able to move off our position for wisdom? And it's not just admitting defeat or anything. It's just a matter of growth.
Well,
Because
that's
I
good.
do.
That's good. Yeah, I'd like to
I,
underline that. It doesn't matter. Uh, other words, I'm not admitting to defeat. Right. So if
mhm.
I was to write that down, that would, if I'm writing that down, that would be one that I am not admitting, because that's what we're thinking. I lost. Right. I
Mhm.
lost. So what you said is very, very powerful. That's a power up moment right there. What you just said. I'm not. And that's where people say I'm being defeated, so I need to, go up a little level, right? If you ain't agree
Hmm.
with me, then I'm defeated. And I always have told them, and I think I told you guys on the Shabbat, that you don't have to be wrong in order for me to be right, right? So you
Yes.
can hold your position. It's okay to hold your position. But the only thing, and the same thing with Power Up, is just listen to what we are saying. Then you can take that and meditate on it, and just maybe be something that you didn't do, you know. Now I know I could hear my wife saying that I just cut you off right there, and but I wanted to get that right. I wanted to get that right. So I just wanted to pull that out. And I sorry for interrupting you on that, my brother. I know. Hopefully that didn't take all of your thought process.
Oh no, I praise y'all for it, and I
Yeah.
do. I love the dialogue. I mean, talking with you is a joy, and I do agree with you because that is the way I felt in that. I could say it because that's where I came from. It
Yeah.
was hard. It was hard to when that whole idea of the speck in the plate. You think you
Hmm.
see
Hmm.
something until you realize, oh man, I'm the one in error and things. And I don't mean it in error, like I was saying, in a defeated way. It's
Hmm.
just a
Hmm.
matter that now I can own it and move forward. And I like that better. I like that better because I used to be in a position to where I have to solve and quench everything, every little fire. But now I realize that, when it comes down to this growth, and developing, like you said, a healthy relationship, that you would tell us sometimes, you got to know when to hold it. You got to know when to hold it. You
Yes.
have to
Yes.
pick, you have to pick these right, you have to pick the right thing to make a move on. And when it comes down to these scales that are in our heart, sometimes the emotional outweighs the making the decision that is best.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
I'm using my feelings to make all my decisions, there isn't going to be a lot of wisdom in it. And that's
Yeah.
just where that comes from for me. So I definitely agree with you on capitalizing on that very point right there. And there was something that you said about the strength is the love.
Hmm.
So why is it that that when we feel something is strong, or we have a strong emotion towards something, why is there almost a better incentive to keep that versus make a wise decision and, let's say, make an agreement on something? Sometimes it's like we only want to keep things in abstract form, where
Hmm.
there is no strength in the abstract form, because
Right.
you may feel one day that this is good, and then that when it's required of you, you may not feel like being in a place to where you need to exercise um whatever it is that your agreement should be based on. I just don't know how to express it. It's just, I know I got myself in a trap by thinking that in my youth, the way I felt about my marriage, and that, like you said, I'd never have an argument, I'd never have a disagreement, so that when something that was harder to overcome came, and I couldn't come out of my feelings so easily. So I don't know what it is about the strength of the emotional love that outweighs like doing what is right. Like, I don't know how to express that if it makes
Yeah. Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I believe I understand. Been there, so I have an understanding a little bit, maybe what you are saying, and maybe if I make a inroad to this, and because the what happens is the feeling is that sometimes our let me address it this way. Sometimes that love is driven by feelings. That's
Exactly.
the reason you can fall in and you can fall out, because it's driven
Yes.
by what my emotions is, and then my concept, because that love, that love is a wide, it's wider than what people think. And
Hmm.
so the thing is, if we tied it to what you do instead of an agreement, we tied it into if you did this, you love me. So in other words, if you
Mm-hmm.
say if I told my wife, I said when I come home, I would like chicken and macaroni. I'm just using something, right? Maybe a little salad on the side, right? So I come home and it's not done, it's not cooked. My feelings is I come home the next day and she didn't cook. My thought process when I go to work and start telling, man, my wife never cooked. Man, if she loved you, here
That
it comes. She would cook you, right? But it could be a lot more behind that. So sometimes
yes.
we are looking at, instead of agreement, we looking at, if you love me, God, you would do thus, because we have
Yes.
been fed that if you love me, you need to do this. If you check this off, that means you love me. If you don't,
Yes.
then that means that you don't love me, because now our relationship is built on this, whether you love me or don't love me, and whether you do something
Mm-hmm.
for me or don't do for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I need to do, if I could use that same, I'm kind of pulling from this small little brain of mine. But if I called my wife and I said, could I have some chicken and some macaroni? And I said, could you have that done when I get home? And she says, yes, I can do that. That's an agreement. Had nothing to do with whether she loved me or not. That's an agreement,
Yes.
right? So when I come home and it's not done, right? And I'm hungry. And so I'm into my feelings. I'm hungry right now. I said, well, why didn't you cook? Now, she could say, well, I fell asleep or whatever. Then I'd be like, if you love me, you would have woke up or whatever. Maybe she fell
Mm-hmm.
asleep because she was tired. She said, I
Yes.
was tired. That's the reason I did that. So I have to allow for that to happen, instead of just saying that if you love me, you wouldn't have fell asleep. You would have made sure that it was cooked. Well, if she started cooking and she fell asleep, it might have burned up.
Yes.
you
That is
know, you,
exactly it. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
So you can plug that into different situations. Is things do happen, right? And so now the other thing of that is, once you make that agreement in that, once you have that agreement, and once you make that agreement, then your wife would do all she could to do that. What makes you think that she didn't want to do that? Because she said she'd do it. Now, here's the thing. If you call her and said, this is what I want, she said, well, I really don't feel like cooking that tonight. Then, you could say, well, okay, that's fine. I stopped on the way home to pick up something. I shouldn't say, oh, if you love me, you'll cook me something, right? Because I didn't heard all these voices talking about, if you love me. See, people around us tells us what love would look like, right? And then they tell you what the love would look like for your life, but they're not doing it. They have a mercy on their wife, and they tell you,
Oh
well, man,
man.
if she love you, then she'll do this. But all the time
Yes.
you're not feeling the same way, right? So it's just different situations, not all things, but some things, right? In that. And so to handle disagreements, and this is another thing that we need to do to handle disagreement. They have to be handled constructively, right? You have to do that. But disagreements can lead to greater communication, though. It shouldn't go the opposite way, right? It should be greater.
Yeah.
It should give us a greater understanding about one another. The disagreement now. So that disagreement, we don't want that, but that disagreement has us to readdress, relook, rethink the things that we're going on in order to communicate, right? So every time somebody's, something fall off my lips, you don't have to say yes, 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 yes. But disagreement had me to look
Oh
at it
man.
another way. That's how you grow. That's how you do that. And so it identifies, when you disagree, it identifies your relationship. It identifies your potential of solving this situation. Because when you have a disagreement, then you want to leave with a agreement, you know. You understand? So if you say, I want to take you out to dinner, I'm be there around 6. You say, nah, I can't make it around. You can pick me up at 7. So I tell my wife, okay, what about 6:30? She said, oh, okay, all right, 6:30 is fine then. We just made an agreement, right? So once we made that agreement, then it's gonna help us, you know. Oh, why don't you want to go at 6? You never want to go at 6. It's always your way or my way in that. So we left you temporarily, my brother. You can come back. There you go. Welcome back. So you'll say you want it your way. I want it my way. But no, you have to come to the agreement in that, you know. Now, the most frustrating thing for me is when I come to agreement and then the agreement get messed up, right? But the in that agreement or in those, I can benefit from the disagreement, and disagreements, they will arise. It's just naturally, my brother. They will arise. You know, every time you look at something, I mean, we practice this every day. It may be on different scales how we practice it, but we practice it every day in that. And so it helps us to deal with the issues together. All right. So we're going to deal with those issues. We come to an agreement. 6:30, I'm picking you up. You know, 6:30, I'll be there. So 6:30, we go get something to eat. That's an agreement. Has nothing to do with love based or nothing else, you know. And so we can't do those things, but there are things that we have to be people, especially of those of us covenant, we have to be people of our word, right? And so we have to do the best that we can to do that. And so we can't choose to focus on the things that, we should choose, right? On the things, wait a minute, let me put it this way. We should focus on the things that we agree upon. That's where the focus should be. Sometimes we spend too much time on the disagreements. Let's focus on what we agree on, and then you can build on that. Because most times, the agreements are, the disagreements are maybe bigger if they're not there, if we don't take them on to make us grow. But that the difference of opinions can really strengthen you because it'll give you a chance to look at it on that. Not and there's some things, not everything. Everything shouldn't be a disagreement. Every time you talk about something, every time you guys have understanding in that. And then sometimes it's good to, even if I have to bring in a third party to help with the agreement. I'm not helping with the opinion. Everyone has an opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we get into problems at is, different of opinions, different of beliefs, and all of that, and how we was raised, misunderstanding. And then what misunderstanding do? They bring about conflict, my brother. So we have to understand that those are opinions. They are, personal views. They your judgments. Opinions are what you believe on any particular
Yes.
topic. Especially when it comes to the word. People, you falling out on just opinions. Your thoughts are how you feel. Cause see, opinions sometimes they are tied with feelings. And maybe one time we'll just do
Yes.
something. Yeah, feelings need to be dealt with. I don't
True.
really think I did too much our interact with teachings on feelings, but I just didn't never drop a teaching on feelings because it's really they're attached. I have found out they're attached to a lot of things here as I got younger. They're attached to a lot of things, and so whether it's facts, the facts are the evidence, not your opinion. Now if you have a
Yes.
strong opinion, some people say, oh, she's opinionated. So you may have those different things, but opinion is just your personal experience, my brother. With those things that you have, that's what they affect. It can vary how it affects your emotions. Opinions can affect you on your background, your educational level, your values, your emotions, where you grew up. All of that is formed. In other words, you take all of that and you form an opinion on, right? You form that
Yes.
opinion. And so some people, they are fighting on opinions, or
Yes.
they disagreeing on opinions and not so much facts because things change all the time. And me and you know that, right? We
Yes,
think one
sir.
thing is a fact and then we get some other information on it. And so opinions, and I'm gonna let you get in here. I'm trying to condense this. Opinions, when you give that opinion though, opinions change. It's only solid until the next level of growth comes, or the next level of understanding comes, right? So
Yes.
that's the reason, we splitting on opinions, and that's not good, right? That's not good. You're not. We shouldn't do that, no matter what it is. And so what opinions does, it can bring about controversy, right? They generate debate all the time. They generate debate. They generate disagreements. Those are the wrong things that it should be doing. It shouldn't be like that, because what we call the opinions is part of our life and part of our growth. You know, in that. So let me let you get in real quick before I, because I keep going on that. In case you wanted, did that help you in your last
That
question?
was it. That was it
Okay,
exactly. And
all
I'm
right.
so thankful that you helped me word that, because that's really what the struggle was, in the sense of, the way you put it is way better than anything I could say on that. But yes, sir, it did help. The what really was standing out to me on what you said about the disagreements. Now that also lines up. Um, that I think we were basing too many, like the success or the result of something isn't based on the disagreement. Like the disagreement doesn't define everything. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it to where, like, if it's almost like, like you brought up about conflict or fault or issue. Sometimes when things fall out of sync, that's when things get our attention. But we're not paying attention to how much is in sync, how much, like you said, we're doing to uh that we are doing to stick to our agreements. I think that those are the things we should focus on, like you said, because growth is going to change things. I like that, because even my wife has said that. She said, "Oh wow, like you're so much more different than you were," but she said she means it in the better, to the
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's where the focus should be, especially when we're going closer with the Father. Because if we're growing closer in Him, that means, like you just said, we're going to be shedding some of those opinions, because a lot of decisions we make are based upon the way I see things.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that
Right.
that is a lot. That's a huge area of damage, like you're saying, with that emotional lens, because it blurs truth. It blurs the what is written. And I believe, like, when you're trying to find truth, it's not based upon the way I see it, especially because I may not know that my biases are stopping me from seeing it the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what really stood out to me with that. And what you said is 100% on that. That's why I believe yoking yourself to leadership and having a wiser party to default to, it settles a lot of the nonsense, and it settles conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
we
Right.
even have that in our scriptures about, when the matter is too difficult for you, you rise up. There's a
Mm-hmm.
place for you to go to handle your higher disputes. And I believe the same things can be said about these areas of miscommunication. But that um, I think what you said about sticking to your agreements, that's really what it was that grabbed me. So I think I was one to not rebound so well. Like, if I felt
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this was expected of you or this was expected of me, the rebound, I guess, getting caught lacking made me respond harsher than I should. So now, like what you were saying with this area of growth, because it's not a compromise. I think sometimes we view everything as a compromise, in the
Right.
sense of towards a negative.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's not in the place of the negative, especially because you love your spouse. I love my wife. So whatever we got to do to grow together, and that's what really stood out to me, because there's been plenty of things that, over time, it took time for me to see the fault, so it wasn't just instantaneous. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like, when you're in a relationship with someone, that's part of it, the patience. And I see you pulled up the word here, so I'm ready to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I just, well, I wasn't gonna. I wanted to put it up there because they said been talking. They didn't have no scripture, But no, but the opinion, and I may touch on that. It was in Corinthians, the 13th chapter. I think many of us are familiar with that. But when I put it up, when I was saying one of the things that all of the things that we've been talking about, opinions are good for us. They're in a positive way, but we have produced them in a negative way, though, right? Because of
Hmm.
how we do things, right? So it's important to recognize, right, the opinions in that. Everyone have one, right? And so I always say, just like the nose on your face, everyone has one, but each one of them got two holes in it. Why? Because you always get more information, you know, in that. So the opinions are there to help us, to aid us, and we're talking about healthy relationships, you know. And again, I'm saying husband and wife, but most of all, that that comes to a community when you use these same principles and this same thought process when we come together. We have to consider when we have an opinion, consider the evidence, consider the facts, and then let those form your opinion, right? So the evidence and the facts form your. You have to remember that is very key. Like you were saying, it is your opinion, not our opinion, right? You can't do that. So remember that, and that will help us get through if we realize that this is just mine, right? So you can
Yes.
have the more information you get. I have changed my opinions daily, monthly, secondly, whatever, right? Because they not
Yes.
that solid. But when you make them solid, then it gets intense, and then this is what we have. We don't have a healthy place, right? We're not saying sin. We're not. Or hopefully these things don't run into that. Now I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is I want to use the word healthy because it's very important that when we sick, it's always those that are sick that needs the physician, you know. And so those that are sick, when they have an operation or when they have all those things, then they needed a physician to do something, somebody outward. And you said something about a leadership. That's the reason you need, if you sick, then you need somebody to operate on you on the outwardly. And we're just not talking about, oh,
Yes.
just the spirit. We ain't talking about just the spirit. You need someone else to operate on you outwardly, right? To try to get
Yes.
you. So hopefully, in this power up, we have we have said some things that will kind of cut that, or maybe cut your idea about this, or just have you to look at it differently. And so maybe you could add some of these expressions, some of these facts, some of this language that we have to give you some clues to help you to identify that opinion, right? Some people have some opinions, they have different opinions, But when we say things like I think I hit that. When we say things like, I think it, I think, we say expressions. We can say it seems to me like, and you saying to you because it is your opinion. It's still your opinion.
Hmm.
And I think that people need to understand that.
Yes.
So we putting all of this together, but we eased into the opinions because it'll help us to make sure. So my love is not emotional. My love with my brethren is not emotional love like that. And even
No, it's
we do
covenant.
more. Sometimes we do more for the dog than we do for the person, you know. And
That
and that's a
happens.
sad situation. I don't. You can have your pets, but if you're doing more, you'll do more for a dog than you do for a person. That is an issue. That's a serious issue. You give a dog some water before you give a person some water. That's an issue, you know.
Hmm.
In that. So what get back to what I said and believe and so in my perspective. So you can have all those things, and I don't have to say attack your opinion, right? So when we
No.
together, then we can make an agreement. That's all we making. You don't have to give up your opinion. I don't have to give up my opinion, but we do have to come to an agreement. And that agreement
Hmm.
ain't we'll agree to disagree. No, we have to come to agreement to something to agree on. Now, if you want that use that, then that's fine because that's very popular. But only thing I'm saying is look at it another way because in relationships, we want them to be healthy, and that's not going to be a healthy relationship. It's not gonna
You
turn
never
out
get
good.
anywhere.
Yeah, you got too many emotional thing there. See, we got emotional language, right? Instead of solid.
Hmm.
That's something that you said earlier. What are we trying to
Oh yeah,
do?
that's
Is we are in covenant. We try because Hebrew is a solid word. I mean, solid language. It's solid. Instead of just out there just floating, it's solid. And so we want to have a strong and solid foundation. We have to be a people of strong foundation, in
oh
that.
yeah.
So and nobody's attacking anybody's opinion. We defend our opinion, right? Just what our opinion
Yes.
is
Oh,
instead
that's
of the
it.
the fact of that. We
Yes,
we
sir.
confirm that, of what we think. And sometimes we don't know when we done ran into fact or when we done run into our opinion
Hmm.
because we make our opinion the fact, right? And then we make an
Bing.
opinion
That's
on the
power
fact,
up.
right? So what I'm saying is, if the way that we handle it, what puts it in a, I want to say positive, what puts it in a level of communication, how we handle it is what that do, right? Because let me tell you something, we can have some strong feelings about our opinion, especially what topic it is. So we'll
Yes.
express, yeah, and you can tell because we'll express our opinion on our emotions.
Yes, my
Yeah,
voice will
yeah, yeah,
raise.
yeah. You'll get
Yes.
upset, and then things will go,
Yes.
and then
Uh,
I have to make you
Oh yeah.
understand my opinion, right?
And I'm not
It's your
listening
opinion,
anymore.
right? That's right. So when you have that, so we have to. I don't want to cast my opinion say on you, but we need to come to agreement. Sometimes it's an agreement about the word, it's agreement about different things, but I have to make sure that I have those things. And so we when we're talking about love, even though even in Corinthians it was saying that all of these things, I'm just gonna kind of read through. It doesn't mean that clinging symbols is one thing. You can have all of these things. You can possess all the things to give to the poor and all of that. All of most of those things is emotional. And then it tells you about some love things is the fact that those characters, it is patient. So I'm gonna be patient with you, and I'm gonna be kind, right? I'm gonna be all of these things, and then I don't want to be puffed up. The opinions are connected to that. If I could make a drawing or something, my brother, of all the stuff that's connected to other stuff. Sometimes I did not
Yes.
realize this when I was younger. It's a lot of stuff connected to the other stuff that causes me to do some stuff, whatever that makes
The
sense.
root cause. Yes, sir.
You understand, and so that's exactly where I'm going. Is there's a root in all of this. So when we be honest with ourselves, there's gonna be a root in all of this. So it's
Yes.
important to remember this, and it's important that we listen to people carefully, right? And before and then we can tell them that well, this is the way I might look at it, or this is the way I see it. And I always say that you don't have to tell nobody, well, I don't agree with that. Well, as soon as you start telling them what it is, we know that you don't agree with it, right? Because
Mm.
but because now I attach my emotions to it, I want you to understand that what you said, I don't agree with it. Just because you said it doesn't mean I have to accept it. You can't
Yes.
make me accept it, and I can't make you accept nothing that I say, nothing that we said here. The
Yes,
whole
sir.
time, if you've been listening, you don't have to accept. I'm not here trying
Yes,
to make you accept this, right? All I'm just
mm-hmm.
trying to do is present something. You be your own on how you want to cultivate this. If this will be good for you, then all well and good. If it's not, then
Praise
that's
you.
good too.
Praise you.
I'm not trying to do nothing but build nothing but the Mashiach and him.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. That's all. Trying to express his character in our life. That's all I'm trying to do. Not my kingdom, not nobody else. This is it. This is it. So to make sure that
Yes.
we, that my opinion, I told you earlier, it'll change on, my, if I get some more facts, then fine, right? But I have to make sure I understand that my opinion can, may not be a fact though.
Oh yeah.
And so I need to distinguish to between what a fact is and what an opinion is in that. And sometimes, like I was saying, they cross the line. So we need some verified proof of the evidence that we observe or that we research or whatever it is. And then I take that evidence, I take all that, whether it's scientific, whether it's, discoveries or whatever it is, and then I form an opinion, and then I begin to walk with that. And so many times when we look at the word, we have an opinion about the word, in that. You understand? So I could just say, if
Mm.
I just, let me see here, if I just pick this verse here, if I say, do not rejoice over unrighteousness, but rejoice in truth. I could take that, and then there'll be several opinions on that, right? On that, what you doing, and how that looks is how my culture is, where I live, what state, where in the world do I live in, what's my house, what my conditions is, what my outcome, what all of that, they form in something in my life is how that looks, right? And then it says that love never fails. So if it never fails, how do I fall out of love? That means I need to get an understanding of what love is, right? When it comes to
Yes.
say this scripture here, or even in my life, I need to know. And then it goes into prophecy and all that. So I just wanted to sort of bring that out as well. Wow, I think it's important. I think I didn't went. Okay, let me. I had two more things here, but let me let you get in there because we over. Usually I try to keep it right by the hour mark. If not, everybody fall asleep
Bonus
on
session. um,
it.
I think it's good. I think what you said is good, and I got powered up on what you said about the fact that I don't think we realize as humans. Well, not just I don't like to use that term just as humans, but Yah's creation. Um, we do try to persuade one another. We do
Yes,
try to
yeah,
influence one another. That
correct,
is
correct.
naturally in us. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's the reason why you buy the clothes off the mannequin because they look good on the mannequin,
Hallelujah.
so they
There
might
you
look good
go.
on you.
Hey, that's beautiful,
that,
my
that's
brother. Beautiful.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just that way. And I remember when I first was introduced to the walk and when I started learning from you, you brought up this concept called the shelf, and I
Mm-hmm.
love the idea of the shelf. So the idea is like in your in your heart or in your life, you've got this shelf, and on that shelf is where you're reaching from. You're getting your ideas, you got the word, you got the truth, whatever it is, your opinion. And I like what you say. Like sometimes you don't have to, you got to throw it away. Just put what you heard on the shelf. And
Mm-hmm.
I like
Mm-hmm.
that because when you brought that up about the well and the sick, typically a sick person isn't going to go to another sick person to get healed.
Right, right. But that's what we are doing.
that that that's just how it is. It's like
Yes,
if I'm going to the physician, the idea is that the physician is healthy.
yes,
So there has to be an idea that's healthy, and then there's an idea that's less healthy, so that someone has to know the difference between when someone's sick and when someone's well.
mm-hmm.
And I think that's just the reality of it, because if the physician gets sick, he's not going to one of his patients.
Right, right.
He's going to go
Exactly.
to another physician. So I really agree with what you were saying, and it really powers me up in the sense that we're trying to build, like you said, exalting the name of the Messiah and the body of the
Yeah,
Messiah. It's like
hallelujah,
we need to be
hallelujah.
well. We need to
Mm-hmm.
be well. And in us getting well, we need to address that when we heard the truth, we didn't hear an opinion. We heard the word of the
Yes,
Father.
hallelujah,
And that
hallelujah.
word quickened in us and caused us to become a taught one and a disciple. We're learning, we started following. Now it just needs to be refined.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the stronger we hold on to our emotion, the harder it is for us to be refined. The way you feel isn't what determines what is right. And I think sometimes that's just what we're going off of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And feelings are good. It's good to have feelings. But
Oh,
if your feelings
absolutely,
have you,
absolutely.
if your
Mm-hmm.
feelings have, yes, sir, if your feelings have you, That's on a whole nother level. And I think being emotionally driven to a person who is being emotionally driven can be very blinding,
Mm-hmm.
because the idea is my emotion is driving me and I'm persuaded by it more than these facts and this evidence and this wisdom. And it really isn't what's getting me. It's like I have a personal knowledge that's higher than the written knowledge, is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing with our emotions. And it could be a
Yes.
trap,
Yes, sir.
because we're selling the truth to buy a lie when we do that. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So I like that that point that you were making, because I recognize myself in that. There's been so many times where the way I saw the scripture, the way I
Yeah.
saw this situation, the
Oh,
way I
me
saw
too, my
this
brother.
argument,
Yeah.
this disagreement, uh, it wasn't necessarily like we were saying earlier. It's not this whole "I'm wrong" thing. There are some things that I feel that are blocking me for what I need to see,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's the damaging part of it. And I just know that we're searching after the one who can open eyes, open ears, cause us to walk, cause us to shuv, to turn and be healed. So I know that in that that's where we're gonna find the truth, like you said, on focusing on those things. What did we agree to? We agreed to all that you have said we will do and be obedient.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
just go back there and start there and realize, if I'm not there, I have a place to return to that I could try again. And I just praise the Father for that, because I'm still breathing, so I still have a chance to complete this assignment to which He's given me, and it's going to be healthy if I do it His way and
Absolutely.
not my own,
Absolutely.
not the way I'm led through my feelings.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Beautiful. That was a beautiful. That's beautiful because I was the same way, still the same
Praises.
way, and I think it'll bring some shalom to your house. And when I say to your house, I'm talking about to all of us and how to
Oh
deal
yeah.
and the dealings with one another. So the power up, if anything else, in this whole thing, in relationships, in your marriage, before you get married, and if you are married, I want us to think about and to consider agreements. Consider the
Mm-hmm.
contracts. It's okay. I mean, I want them agreements to be to the point where, if they was being enforced by the law. Those are the solid. That's the way that those of us that in covenant with the Most High is. So you come to that agreement in
Yes.
that, and sometimes according to what the situation is if it's, say, if it's me, if it's leadership putting something out, then that's the part that we will agree with, right? That's what the part
Hallelujah.
that's gonna be enforced. You can still hold on to your opinion, but that's how it's gonna
Yes.
be. So it's the same thing at the job. Don't go off the handle on me. It's the same thing at the job. You don't agree. Those that are listening, you can ask anybody. Don't I know for a fact everybody is not agreeing with 100% what they're doing at their job or what's going on in your
Amen.
house, but you do come to that agreement. So the agreement, it doesn't have to be so much is that I don't think we should do this. But if the people that are over the supervisor and everything say that this is what we're gonna do, then I'm gonna agree with what they said to do, right? No matter what my opinion is, I didn't did that at work. I just tell I say to myself is they say something and then a couple of us workers get together and we say, oh, I don't know about that, man. We do that. That's gonna be something else. But I tell you what, at the end of the day, we did what they
We
said.
did
Why?
it.
Because I'm in
Yes, sir.
agreement, right? There's no going back and forth. But I don't agree with that. But no, you won't have a job long, right? And so your money is tied to that. That's the reason you agree with that, But in the things of the Most High is more priority than anything else on this earth. Anything else on this earth,
Hallelujah.
and the people
Yes.
of Yah is more important than any other thing, right? Other words, when we
Amen.
submitting to one another, when we doing those things. So where is your priorities at? That's the thing. So you, whether you accept that or not, that's the way it should be. And whether we accept it or not, it's not going to change it, right? You don't have to accept
Hmm.
it, but it's not going to change it. And so what we're trying to do is come to an agreement between each other. That's all. That's all you're trying to do. And let that agreement be binding in the things of the Father. We know sometimes Torah talks about vows, right? So
Yes, it
we know
does.
how, yeah, we know how strong it is, So, we have an emotions, and I like where you re-emphasize those things. Is we have emotions. Emotions are good. We have to know how which way to direct those emotions, and then what those
Oh
emotions
yeah.
are attached to, we need to readdress them in our lives because they could be attached to the wrong thing, in that.
It,
So yes, we have
bingo.
emo. I mean, when my
Yes.
wife, I think I heard the door open. My wife, when she came in, I felt something, right? So when I see her, I feel something, right? So yeah, you feel those things. Don't get me wrong, but it's not based
Yeah.
on that. You understand
Yes.
what I'm saying? That's like the benefits. That's just
The
the
benefits.
benefits of it,
The,
right? So
say that.
all of those things, but sometimes I don't feel the fuzzies. Sometimes I feel like, let me just get me a rope. No, maybe I not say this one. They gonna say it's
It's
only
a
a joke.
jokey joke.
It's a
It's a
joke. It's
jokey
a
joke.
joke.
It's a
It's a
jokey
joke.
joke.
Don't add me up on it. Say no, they get
Ah,
it.
it's a joke.
It's a joke. Okay, but my point is, we don't always feel the fuzzies. We don't always
Yes.
feel that. We feel some of that. Don't say nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
we feel that. But it's not, don't say nothing to
Yes.
me. I don't love you no more. Don't say nothing to me because I want to get a divorce. Don't
Exactly.
do that to me because I don't like you. Don't do that. I can't stand you. Everything you do, da 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 da. No, it's not that.
Yeah.
Praise Yah.
It's
It's
not
not
that.
that. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
But we're
That's
gonna
not
get
it.
through it
That's
on the
not
other
it.
side. They're gonna get through it on the other side. Praise Yah.
Yes. Praise
Yes,
Yah.
praise Yah. So those of you that still hanging there with us, we honor the Father, and those that may have listened to it to this
All glory to his
point.
name.
In that, hopefully, that has been something that could help you. I see one. I know of at least one young adult in here, and that when they get ready to get married, I hope somehow that they could catch on to this. And if you're not married, that you can
Amen.
catch on to this. And if you are married, you can always make an enroll correction. That's one thing about this. You
Yes.
can always, make a start. Look, you didn't did this. Maybe it wasn't that. But I tell you, what is it gonna hurt to try to come to an agreement instead of both of you guys' opinions? Does it hurt
Humble
to
up.
come to a contract? Maybe you need to write it down. I don't know, but does that hurt? Would that hurt that we do that? Also, leaving stipulations for variables in that now, right? We just don't want it
Amen.
to make it,
Amen.
because see, the boundary, it's a boundary, not a law. Not a law. It's a boundary to help us. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that feels good. Ooh, that
Yes.
hurts. Ooh, but that feels good. Ooh, that
Yes.
hurts. You understand? That's what it feels. That's the way that
Yes.
is. And then you will make your community so much better in this.
Yes.
So much better. You can get along. We're talking about making it healthy. We want to maintain, because all of us want our bodies, whatever it is, to be healthy. We even want the grass to be
Yes.
healthy.
I
We
was
want to
thinking that
fertilize it.
earlier.
I fertilize it and everything else. Why? Because I want it to look green. We do more for the grass.
Greener.
I spend more on the grass, probably not spend on people. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm just using that example. You can take
Yes.
that, but where is our priorities in all of this? Is my point in
Yes.
that. So maybe you could take some to this. This could be a power up moment in that, and just really, and then this might be one that you may want to rehearse again, go back through it, and all that, to pull out of it that something might help you, not pull out to attack, but pull out to something help.
Uh,
We are not here for that. If it's not, just push it to the side. We're not putting opinion on you. It's a good thing. I
yeah.
don't argue. Don't even worry about the email. We good. We good.
Build up.
All right.
It's a build up.
There you go. There you go. All right, my brother. We're gonna get ready to end this with some shalom and thank you so very much for hanging in there. Long term, we went just a little over, but I know we could do this all night, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
but we
Until we
won't
fall
do
out
it
a
tonight.
window.
Maybe that's what we'll do. Look forward to that. Maybe we'll do an all nighter this year. Y'all look forward to that, huh?
All right, praise Yah.
Praise Yah. Shalom, shalom, my brother. And may Yah
Shalom,
continue to
Lord.
enrich your life. Hallelujah.
Likewise.